Have you ever wondered if there are secret words with the power to transform your reality? What if I told you that one of history's most documented psychics discovered a formula so profound, 5 simple words that might hold the key to manifestation itself? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Edgar Cayce, often called the Sleeping Prophet, was no ordinary psychic. During the darkest days of the Great Depression, when millions had lost everything and hope seemed like a distant memory, Cayce would enter self-induced trance states and deliver information that continues to baffle experts to this day. With his eyes closed and his conscious mind set aside, he accessed what appeared to be universal knowledge, diagnosing illnesses, predicting future events, and revealing spiritual insights that were decades ahead of his time. But among his thousands of documented readings, one particular revelation stands out, especially for those interested in the creative power of consciousness. During a time when the world needed guidance most desperately, Cayce spoke of 5 divine words that he claimed contained the formula for creation itself. Has this ever happened to you? You've tried visualization techniques, affirmations, and every manifestation method that promised results, only to find your desires still out of reach. The solution might be simpler than you think, and it may have been recorded in Cayce's readings nearly a century ago. These weren't just ordinary words, according to Cayce. They represented fundamental principles that resonated with the very structure of reality. The Sleeping Prophet suggested that these 5 words, when properly understood and applied, could help anyone tap into the same creative force that shapes the universe. What makes this revelation particularly fascinating is how it bridges ancient spiritual wisdom with concepts that modern quantum physics is only beginning to explore. The idea that consciousness influences reality wasn't mainstream in Cayce's time, yet his trance readings frequently suggested exactly this. Stay with me until the end of this exploration, because what we're about to uncover about these 5 divine words might completely transform how you understand your relationship with reality. These aren't magic spells or empty promises, they're principles that thousands have incorporated into their lives with remarkable results. Edgar Cayce gave over 14,000 documented readings in his lifetime, addressing everything from health remedies to the lost civilization of Atlantis. But these 5 words stand apart, offering not just information, but a practical methodology that anyone can apply. Subscribe now to unlock more wisdom on conscious creation and join our community of word wizards. These words, carrying the consciousness of Christ, could attract healing and abundance. Cayce emphasized that words are seeds in the universal mind, influencing reality. This power dynamic reveals the hidden transformation potential that exists within each of us. You see, when we understand language as more than mere communication, but as a vibrational imprint on reality itself, we begin to witness the profound journey of self-mastery that ancient mystics have known for centuries. Cayce's readings reveal something remarkable. The same universal mind that created the cosmos responds to our words as instruments of creation. This isn't metaphorical, it's a practical application of spiritual mechanics. Think of how you feel when someone speaks words of genuine love to you versus harsh criticism. That immediate physiological response demonstrates the impact of words on your physical form. Now, multiply that effect when those words are charged with spiritual intent and aligned with universal principles. What's fascinating about Cayce's approach is how he bridged Eastern and Western mystical traditions. While Christian in his orientation, his revelations about word power parallel Buddhist mantras and Hindu seed syllables. The common thread, the understanding that sound carries creative force. When you speak affirmations with the consciousness of Christ, meaning from a place of unconditional love and oneness with the divine, you're essentially programming the quantum field around you. Many seekers miss the crucial element in this process. It's not just about repeating positive phrases. The effectiveness comes from the state of consciousness behind the words. Cayce suggested that meditation before affirmation creates the fertile ground where these verbal seeds can take root. This preparatory silence allows you to align with what he called the Christ consciousness, that spark of the divine that resides within each person, regardless of their religious background. Consider this revelation. Cayce's readings indicated that healing affirmations work best when stated as already accomplished. Instead of, "I want to be healthy," the more powerful formation is, "I am whole and perfect." This subtle shift acknowledges the timeless nature of spiritual reality, where healing has already occurred in the eternal now. Your words simply align your temporal experience with that spiritual truth. The most significant discovery in Cayce's work might be the democratization of spiritual power. While organized religion often positioned intermediaries between people and divine power, Cayce's readings suggested that each person has direct access to the same creative force that shapes universes. Your words, properly understood and utilized, become your personal gateway to this cosmic potential. Now, I want to go even deeper into the specific affirmations Cayce recommended and how they differ from modern positive thinking techniques. The distinction is profound and reveals why some affirmation practices yield remarkable results, while others seem ineffective. If this perspective on the power of words resonates with your own experiences, type "words create worlds" in the comments below. As I reflect on the power of those 5 words, love, faith, peace, hope, and Christ, I'm struck by how transformational they truly are when embodied rather than simply repeated. Throughout human history, across countless spiritual journeys, these principles have been the catalysts for profound inner revolution. Think about what happens when we truly live in love rather than just saying, "I love you." Real love transforms our interactions, decisions, and priorities. It reshapes our neural pathways and literally alters how we perceive the world around us. The same applies to genuine faith, not blind acceptance, but a deep trust that guides our steps through uncertainty. It's the difference between repeating, "I believe," versus allowing that belief to fundamentally change how you navigate life's challenges. The journey toward embodying peace reveals something fascinating about human nature. When we stop treating peace as just a nice concept and instead cultivate it within ourselves, we discover it's not the absence of conflict, but rather a presence of something greater. It's an internal anchor that holds steady regardless of external circumstances. This internal revolution creates ripples that extend far beyond ourselves. Hope works similarly, not as wishful thinking, but as an active force that propels us forward. When authentic hope takes root in your consciousness, it becomes the hidden engine behind perseverance, creativity, and resilience. I've witnessed people facing impossible odds who were carried through not by hollow optimism, but by this deep, abiding hope that transcends logic. And Christ, whether you view this as a spiritual figure, a principle, or both, represents the ultimate paradigm shift. It's about radical love, sacrificial giving, and a complete reorientation of values. The word itself points to something beyond mere belief. It suggests a total realignment with divine principles. What fascinates me most about these revelations is how they work regardless of your background or belief system. Their impact transcends religious boundaries because they tap into universal human needs and capacities. The transformational power doesn't come from religious adherence, but from alignment with deep truths about our nature. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how these principles operate in everyday decision-making. There's something remarkable that happens when we allow these concepts to influence the small choices we make hour by hour, day by day. They begin reshaping our whole mindset, affecting everything from our relationships to our work to our physical well-being. If anything I've shared resonates with your own experience, write "Transformation begins within" in the comments below. As we think more about this hidden dimension of language, it becomes clear that Cayce was touching on something profound that modern science is only beginning to understand. The vibrations created by our words aren't just metaphorical, they're actual energy patterns that interact with our physical bodies on a cellular level. When Cayce spoke about the word love elevating our vibrations, he was describing a genuine energetic transformation that occurs within us. I've noticed in my own journey that being mindful of the words I use throughout the day creates a different feeling in my body. It's as if certain words open doorways to different states of consciousness. Think about how you feel when someone offers you genuine words of appreciation versus harsh criticism. The physiological response is immediate and measurable. Your heart rate, hormone levels, and neural activity all shift in response. This revelation about language carries significant implications for our daily interactions. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to either heal or harm, not just emotionally but physically. The words we choose when speaking to others, and importantly to ourselves, are constantly reshaping our internal environment. That internal dialogue running through your mind all day? It's literally programming your body's chemistry. What's particularly fascinating is how this ancient wisdom aligns with quantum physics principles. Both suggest that everything in our universe, including thought and speech, exists as vibrational energy first. When we generate thoughts and speak words that carry loving frequencies, we create resonance with similar energetic patterns around us. This explains why entering a room where people have been arguing feels different than one where people have been laughing and sharing positively. The practical applications are endless. Many who've studied Cayce's work have developed practices around consciously selecting words that promote healing. Some begin their day by speaking affirmations aloud, allowing the vibration of carefully chosen words to set their energetic template for the hours ahead. Others have found that changing their vocabulary, replacing words of lack with abundance, fear with trust, or judgment with understanding, gradually shifts their perception and experience of reality. Hit that subscribe button to continue your journey of transformation through the power of intentional language. You might wonder how this works with languages other than English. Cayce would suggest that while different languages use different sounds, the intent and consciousness behind the words carries the true vibrational impact. It's not just about the sound waves produced, but the energetic signature created by the combination of sound, meaning, and intention. This perspective invites us to become much more deliberate architects of our linguistic environments. The casual complaining, criticizing, or catastrophizing many of us engage in isn't just harmless venting. It's actively shaping our biological reality. By contrast, choosing words that embody gratitude, possibility, and compassion creates a completely different biochemical cascade. If you're finding yourself nodding along as you hear this, type "My words create my reality" in the comments below. Now, I want to explore how Cayce's insights about vibrational medicine extend beyond just language into other surprising areas of daily life. Faith is more than just belief. It's a powerful force that aligns our consciousness with divine law. When we truly have faith, we're not just hoping for an outcome. We're creating a magnetic field that attracts circumstances aligned with our deepest convictions. This alignment happens because faith changes our vibrational frequency, allowing us to resonate with higher possibilities that might otherwise remain invisible to us. I've witnessed remarkable transformations in people who maintained unwavering faith during seemingly impossible situations. There's a hidden truth here that many miss. Faith doesn't just help us endure difficulties. It fundamentally alters the landscape of possibilities available to us. It's as if we're tuning into a different channel of reality, one where solutions exist that our logical minds couldn't conceive. Now let's explore peace as a spiritual keyword. In our chaotic world, cultivating inner peace might seem like a luxury, but it's actually a necessity for spiritual advancement. Peace isn't passive. It's a dynamic force that creates space for clarity and intuition to emerge. When we maintain peace during turbulent circumstances, we're practicing spiritual alchemy, transforming potential conflict into opportunity. The journey toward peace begins with accepting what is without resistance. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat. Quite the opposite. True peace empowers us to respond rather than react, to choose our battles wisely, and to recognize when surrender is actually the strongest position we can take. I remember working with a client facing devastating financial loss. Instead of panicking, she committed to maintaining inner peace through daily meditation. Within weeks, her clear mind helped her identify opportunities that weren't visible when she was in a state of anxiety. This isn't coincidence. It's spiritual law in action. These two keywords, faith and peace, work together in beautiful harmony. Faith gives us the confidence to maintain peace, while peace creates the receptive state necessary for faith to manifest results. Together they form a powerful foundation for spiritual growth and practical transformation in our everyday lives. When we walk through life with both faith and peace as our companions, we develop resilience that goes beyond mere endurance. We discover a profound inner strength that doesn't depend on external validation or circumstances. This revolution in consciousness changes not just how we feel, but how we interact with every aspect of our reality. Now, I want to go even deeper into how these spiritual principles translate into practical tools for navigating life's challenges. The wisdom contained in these ancient concepts isn't just theoretical, it offers us a roadmap for creating meaningful change in our everyday experience. If this perspective on faith and peace resonates with your own spiritual journey, write inner alignment in the comments below. Hope isn't just a fleeting emotion, it's the invisible bridge that carries us across the darkest waters of our experience. When suffering threatens to consume us, hope creates a path forward where none seemed possible. It's fascinating how this simple yet powerful force operates in our consciousness, transforming the very chemistry of despair into the architecture of possibility. I've witnessed this transformation countless times in my own journey. During periods when life's challenges seemed insurmountable, it was hope, sometimes just a whisper, that illuminated the next step. This revelation about hope's power isn't merely philosophical, it's deeply practical in our everyday lives. Now, what about the word Christ? Beyond religious contexts, this word carries a vibrational quality that speaks to our spiritual DNA. When we understand Christ as a state of consciousness rather than solely a historical figure, we begin to access its profound resonance with our innate divine wholeness. This perspective creates a paradigm shift in how we perceive ourselves and our relationship with creation. The beauty in this understanding lies in its universality. This consciousness isn't confined to one tradition or belief system. It represents the awakened human being in perfect alignment with spirit and creation. When we invoke this energy through contemplation or utterance of the word itself, we're essentially tuning our personal frequency to match this elevated state of being. Think of it as accessing a hidden dimension of your existence that has always been there, waiting to be recognized and embodied. This invisible transformation begins to manifest in tangible ways: increased synchronicity, deeper intuition, and a profound sense of interconnectedness with all things. The integration of hope as a bridge and the Christ consciousness as our destination creates a powerful framework for navigating life's complexities. This journey isn't about escaping our humanity, but rather embracing its fullest expression, where divine and human aspects merge into something greater than either could be alone. What's particularly striking about this spiritual alchemy is how it ripples outward, affecting not just our personal experience, but our relationships and communities. As one person embodies this transformation, it creates a field of possibility that others can sense and respond to, often unconsciously. I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how these spiritual principles manifest in real-world scenarios and the remarkable shifts that occur when we apply them consistently. The evidence of their power isn't just found in ancient texts, but in the living testimony of transformed lives today. If what I'm sharing resonates with your own experience or intuition, write "awakening within" in the comments. I'd love to know who else is exploring these depths. Cayce proposed these powerful words as more than just ancient wisdom. He called them spiritual technology with real, tangible applications in our daily lives. He urged that by consciously embodying these words, we could create profound ripple effects. In our reality, this isn't abstract philosophy gathering dust on a bookshelf. When you intentionally work with these frequencies, you're accessing what Cayce described as the original creative forces that shaped our universe. These vibrations become catalysts for personal transformation when applied consistently. Consider this: when you deliberately embody love, not just as an emotion, but as a creative force, you're aligning yourself with the same energy that Cayce claimed was at the foundation of all creation. This subtle shift in consciousness opens doorways to experiences previously hidden from your awareness. What's particularly fascinating about Cayce's approach is how he bridged the gap between ancient mysticism and practical application. The journey toward incorporating these words isn't about escaping reality, but about weaving these higher frequencies into your everyday existence. When you're stuck in traffic, facing workplace challenges, or navigating relationship difficulties, these are precisely the moments when applying these sound principles matters most. Behind the scenes of Cayce's readings, there was always this emphasis on taking abstract spiritual concepts and grounding them in the here and now. The most profound revelations come not from intellectual understanding alone, but from lived experience. When you embody light through your actions, decisions, and mindset, you become a walking manifestation of that creative force. Now, I want to go even deeper into how these sound vibrations can fundamentally reshape your perception. The true power of these words emerges when you begin to recognize them as keys to unlocking hidden dimensions of your consciousness. Each word serves as a doorway to expand your awareness beyond the limitations of ordinary thinking. If any of these concepts are resonating with your own spiritual journey, write in the comments, "These vibrations speak to me." I'd love to know which of these words feels most aligned with your current path. Throughout his teachings, Cayce emphasized that our words create ripples in the fabric of reality that extend far beyond our immediate awareness. He viewed gossip as particularly harmful, not just a social indiscretion, but a spiritual violation that damages both speaker and subject. When you speak ill of another, he would say, you're not defining them, you're defining yourself. This perspective reveals the profound responsibility we carry with every syllable we utter. The transformational power of words becomes even more apparent when we consider Cayce's explanations about anger. He taught that angry words don't simply dissipate into the air. They create thought forms with genuine energetic signatures. These vibrations continue to exist in what he called the Akashic records, the universal memory that stores every thought, word, and deed. This hidden truth explains why ancient traditions across cultures have always placed such emphasis on speaking with care and intention. What's particularly fascinating about Cayce's teachings on language is how they bridge spiritual wisdom with modern quantum understanding. Science now acknowledges that observation affects reality at the subatomic level, a concept Cayce intuited decades earlier. He recognized that our words aren't just symbolic communication, but actual creative forces that shape the energetic blueprint of our journey through life. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by examining Cayce's practical advice for harnessing this verbal power constructively. He didn't just warn about negative speech. He provided a roadmap for using words as instruments of healing and manifestation. According to his readings, affirmations spoken with conviction create pathways in consciousness that facilitate real-world manifestation. The key, he maintained, was alignment, ensuring your words, thoughts, and feelings were in harmony rather than contradiction. This revelation transforms ordinary conversation into a sacred act. Imagine approaching each day with complete awareness that your words are literally programming your experience. This isn't about perfection or censorship, but rather about cultivating mindfulness around the incredible tool we often take for granted. The words we choose become the architects of our relationships, opportunities, and inner landscape. Cayce's insights on language extended to what he called soul speech, communication that transcends mere information. Exchange, to touch the divine spark in others. He believed we could learn to speak directly to the highest aspect of another person, bypassing ego and resistance. This approach doesn't manipulate, but rather honors the inherent wisdom within each individual, creating space for genuine connection and understanding. If you've ever noticed how differently you feel after an uplifting conversation versus a negative one, you've experienced firsthand what Cayce was describing. That sensation isn't just psychological. It's the tangible impact of verbal energy on your physical and spiritual being. The words we consume from others and offer in return create the invisible architecture that structures our daily experience. If this perspective is shifting how you think about conversations, write mindful speech in the comments section. Witnessing Cayce's readings wasn't just observing, it was experiencing a profound transformation. People would enter his modest Virginia Beach home carrying the weight of chronic illness or emotional turmoil and leave with something beyond mere answers. They gained a new perspective on their existence. One businessman who sought a reading for financial advice unexpectedly found himself addressing childhood trauma that had been influencing his decision-making for decades. The revelation brought him to tears, initiating a healing journey he never knew he needed. What makes Cayce's legacy so powerful is that these transformations weren't isolated incidents. They formed patterns that revealed deeper truths about human existence. His insistence that love serves as the fundamental fabric of creation wasn't just philosophical poetry, it was practical guidance. The purpose of the heart, he once said during a trance, is not just to pump blood, but to distribute the force of love throughout the body. This perspective fundamentally shifts how we understand wellness. Instead of seeing health as merely the absence of disease, Cayce's framework suggests it's the presence of something, a harmonious relationship between mind, body, and spirit. The individuals who integrated this understanding into their daily lives reported feeling an inner alignment that modern psychology is only beginning to recognize as essential to mental health. Behind the scenes of the thousands of documented cases lie patterns of revelation that transcend the individual experiences. People who applied Cayce's dietary recommendations, for instance, weren't just clearing up digestive issues. They were experiencing mental clarity, emotional equilibrium, and spiritual receptivity. The physical body, in Cayce's framework, wasn't separate from the spiritual journey, but an essential vehicle for it. The hidden truth that many discover when studying these cases is that healing often comes through unexpected pathways. A woman seeking relief from arthritis might find that forgiveness practice does more than spiritual work. It actually reduces her physical inflammation. This interconnection between different aspects of our being challenges the compartmentalized approach we often take toward health and wellness. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how Cayce's insights on human consciousness continue to influence cutting-edge research today. His descriptions of the subconscious mind and its role in physical health prefigured discoveries in psychoneuroimmunology by decades. What's particularly striking is how these connections emerge not from theoretical musings, but from thousands of documented cases where addressing the inner landscape created measurable changes in the physical body. If you've ever experienced a moment where an emotional breakthrough led to physical relief, type "connection confirmed" in the comments. I'd love to hear about your experiences with this mind-body relationship. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how these spiritual principles create tangible ripple effects in our lives. Faith isn't just a concept we hold in moments of prayer or meditation. It's an active force that shapes our perception of every experience we encounter. When we consciously align with these unseen divine forces, we begin to notice synchronicities that others might dismiss as coincidence. It's like tuning into a frequency that's always been broadcasting, but we've finally adjusted our dial to receive it. The transformation happens subtly at first. You might find yourself responding differently to challenges, viewing obstacles as invitations rather than roadblocks. This shift in perspective stems from an underlying trust that what we see with our physical eyes is only a fraction of the complete picture. Behind the scenes, our faith is creating a framework through which we interpret our journey, allowing us to move forward even when the path ahead seems unclear. What's particularly fascinating is how this internal alignment begins to manifest externally. Those around you start to sense something different in your presence, a steadiness perhaps, or a peculiar kind of confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. This is where peace becomes not just a personal state, but a social influence. The contagious nature of peace is one of its most powerful yet underappreciated qualities. When you enter a room carrying genuine inner peace, you create a field of possibility around you. Think about how you feel when you're in the presence of someone truly at peace. Their very being seems to give you permission to release tension you didn't even know you were holding. In conflict situations, this peace becomes revolutionary. It's not passive or weak, quite the opposite. It's a robust, dynamic force that creates space for new solutions to emerge. When opposing sides encounter someone embodying authentic peace, the defensive postures begin to soften, not because the issues aren't important, but because peace reminds everyone of a higher truth beyond the immediate disagreement. This is the hidden truth of spiritual practice. It's never just about personal enlightenment. Every internal shift creates external ripples. Your journey toward alignment becomes a silent invitation to others, demonstrating possibilities they might not have considered for themselves. The peace you cultivate becomes a refuge, not just for you, but for everyone in your sphere of influence. The revelations come when we realize that these spiritual qualities aren't abstract concepts, but practical tools for navigating an increasingly complex world. They're as real and applicable as any skill we might develop, with impacts that extend far beyond our individual experience. If this perspective resonates with your own experience, type "Peace begins with me" in the comments below. Now let's explore how these principles can be practically applied in everyday situations. Hope isn't just a concept. It's the spiritual lifeline that sustains us through our darkest moments. When everything seems lost, hope emerges as that gentle whisper reminding us that darkness is only temporary. It's the invisible thread connecting our present struggles to future possibilities that are beyond our current vision. What's fascinating is how hope operates as a transformation catalyst in our lives. Think about those moments when you felt completely defeated, yet somehow found the strength to continue. That resilience wasn't random. It was hope working its subtle magic, rearranging your perception of reality. Now I want to go even deeper into this ancient understanding of Christ consciousness. The revelation that changes everything is that Christ wasn't merely a name or title bestowed upon one individual. Rather, it represented a specific frequency, a divine vibration of perfection that exists within all of us, waiting to be activated. This understanding completely reshapes our journey towards spiritual awakening. The hidden truth that few discuss is that early mystics and Gnostics recognized this Christ consciousness as the blueprint of our highest potential. They understood that the path of enlightenment wasn't about worship of an external savior, but about the awakening of this perfect divine template within ourselves. This inner awakening was the true salvation they sought. When we begin to perceive our spiritual journey through this lens, everything shifts. The focus moves from external rituals to internal alignment, from pleading with divine forces to embodying divine qualities. This perspective doesn't diminish faith. It enriches it by making you an active participant rather than a passive recipient. The sacred texts speak of this inner light in various ways across traditions, describing it as the indwelling spark of divinity. It's the same essence referenced when spiritual teachers speak of letting your light shine, or becoming perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. These weren't mere poetic phrases, but practical instructions for activating higher consciousness. As we navigate the complexities of our existence, this understanding offers profound liberation. It suggests that the divinity we seek has never been separate from us, only dormant, waiting for the right conditions to flourish. Like a seed containing all the potential of a mighty tree, this Christ consciousness holds the blueprint for our spiritual evolution. If this perspective resonates with your inner knowing, write "awakening within" in the comments. Now, let's explore how this understanding radically transforms our approach to spiritual practice. The fascinating thing about these words Cayce emphasized is how they transcend simple linguistic meaning to become vehicles for genuine transformation. When you begin integrating them into your consciousness, they function almost like a spiritual technology, creating pathways in your mind that align with higher frequencies of being. This isn't just abstract theory. The documented cases in Cayce's readings showed remarkable patterns of healing and awakening when people committed to working with these concepts daily. It's as if these particular words carry a resonance that helps recalibrate our entire energy system. Think about the word patience, for instance. When truly understood and embodied, it's not just about waiting, it's about developing a profound trust in divine timing that fundamentally shifts how we experience life's challenges. Behind the scenes of Cayce's work, there was always this understanding that language isn't merely symbolic but vibratory. Each word creates ripples in consciousness that extend far beyond our immediate awareness. The revelation here is that when these specific words are combined in meditation and daily practice, they create a synergistic effect, essentially offering a shortcut to states of awareness that might otherwise take decades of spiritual discipline to achieve. What makes this approach so revolutionary is its accessibility. You don't need special training or initiation into esoteric traditions. The journey begins with something as simple as selecting one of these words each morning and carrying it with you throughout the day, observing how it interacts with your experiences and challenges. This creates a bridge between abstract spiritual concepts and practical daily living. The impact of this practice gradually reveals itself in how you navigate relationships, handle stress, and perceive your purpose. Many who've worked with these words report a subtle yet unmistakable shift. Situations that once triggered reactive patterns now become opportunities for deeper understanding and growth. It's as if these words act as keys, unlocking dormant aspects of our consciousness. I want to go even deeper into how each word functions as a specific medicine for the soul. Take cooperation, for instance. When we truly embody this principle, we begin to see how the entire universe operates through intricate systems of cooperation rather than competition. This single shift in perspective can completely transform how we approach work, relationships, and even our understanding of success. The hidden truth in Cayce's approach is that these aren't just positive affirmations or nice ideas. They represent fundamental laws of consciousness that, when aligned with, create a natural state of harmony within and without. The resistance we feel in life often comes from operating counter to these principles. If you're resonating with what I'm sharing so far, write in the comments, "These words are awakening something in me." Now let's explore how each word creates specific shifts in consciousness and why their particular sequence matters. Words have incredible power beyond our individual experience. When we speak positively, we create ripples that extend through our families, workplaces, and communities. Think about the last time someone's encouraging words completely shifted your mood or perspective. That's not coincidence, it's energy in motion. Edgar Cayce's profound insights into the connection between our emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being were revolutionary for his time, yet align perfectly with what quantum physics now suggests about energy fields. He understood that energy doesn't simply disappear, it transforms and transfers. Our bodies are essentially energy systems before they're physical ones. The journey toward healing begins with recognizing these invisible energetic blockages. Consider how often you've felt physically ill after prolonged emotional distress. That's not just psychological, it's your body's energetic pathways responding to the disruption. When we harbor negative emotions like resentment, bitterness, or shame, we're essentially creating energetic dams within our system. This is where the hidden truth about forgiveness emerges. Forgiveness isn't merely a moral virtue, it's a pragmatic tool for energetic release. When you forgive someone who's wronged you, you're not doing it primarily for them. You're removing an energetic blockage that's been affecting your own physical and emotional health. It's one of the most powerful self-care decisions you can make. Many who've practiced intentional forgiveness report remarkable physical transformations, chronic pain diminishing, sleep improving, even autoimmune conditions becoming more manageable. The science of psychoneuroimmunology continues to validate what Cayce observed. Our thoughts and emotions directly impact our biological processes. The profound revelation here is that healing is rarely just about the physical intervention. The most effective approaches address the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. This holistic perspective isn't New Age thinking, it's ancient wisdom supported by contemporary research. I've witnessed countless individuals undergo remarkable transformations when they began addressing these energetic components alongside conventional treatments. One particular case involved a woman with debilitating migraines who found significant relief after resolving a long-standing conflict with her sister. The physical impact of her emotional healing was unmistakable. Now, I want to go even deeper into how specific practices can help us maintain these energetic pathways and create lasting change in our physical bodies. This isn't just theory. It's practical wisdom you can apply immediately to experience shifts in your well-being. If you're resonating with this perspective on energy and healing, write "energy flows where attention goes" in the comments. I'd love to know you're connecting with these concepts. He saw resentment as more than an emotional state. It was a literal blockage in the body's energy system. When we carry anger and grudges, we create tension in our muscles, constriction in our blood vessels, and disruption in our nervous system. This physical manifestation of emotional burden is what Cayce identified as the bridge between our thoughts and physical ailments. The transformation begins when we recognize this connection. Cayce's insights revealed a profound truth. Our bodies are constant communicators, sending signals about the state of our spiritual and emotional well-being. What modern medicine might diagnose as stress-related disorders, Cayce saw as manifestations of spiritual disharmony. This perspective offers a revolutionary approach to healing that addresses the root cause rather than merely treating symptoms. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring Cayce's understanding of the Akashic records. He described these records as a cosmic library containing every word, thought, and action across all time. When we speak, our words don't simply disappear into the air. They become imprinted in this universal database, creating ripples that influence our soul's journey. This concept reveals the hidden impact of our daily communications. According to Cayce, the words we choose don't just affect our current relationships, they literally shape the path our soul will take in future incarnations. It's a revelatory perspective that brings enormous weight to how we express ourselves and the intentions behind our speech. The journey of the soul, as Cayce understood it, isn't linear but cyclical. Each lifetime presents opportunities to resolve karmic patterns, many of which are connected to how we've used or misused the power of speech in past lives. Those struggling with communication issues today might be working through lessons left unlearned in previous existences. What makes this wisdom particularly valuable is its practical application. Cayce didn't just theorize about these connections, he provided specific remedies. For those suffering from the physical effects of resentment, he often prescribed affirmations, forgiveness practices, and dietary changes that would support both emotional and physical healing simultaneously. Behind the scenes of Cayce's readings was an intricate understanding of how energy moves through the human body. He described what we now might call chakras or energy centers, explaining how negative emotions create blockages in these channels. When we harbor resentment, these channels constrict, limiting our capacity to give and receive love, the most healing force in the universe, according to his teachings. The mindset shift Cayce advocated wasn't just about positive thinking, it was about aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with the highest spiritual principles. By doing so, we don't just heal ourselves, we contribute to the collective healing of humanity. If you've experienced this mind-body connection in your own life, write in the comments, "I've felt this connection." The profound truth is that our words become part of an invisible architecture that builds our reality. Cayce understood this mechanism at a fundamental level. He wasn't just sharing positive thinking, he was revealing the hidden infrastructure of transformation. When we consciously choose to speak love into situations where hatred once dominated, we're not merely being optimistic, we're actively rewiring neural pathways that have been carved by past conditioning. This is where the journey becomes fascinating. Our brains physically change based on the words we consistently use, creating new neural highways that eventually become our default routes of thinking. What many don't realize is that this practice of speaking faith, peace, and love creates ripple effects far beyond our immediate circumstances. It's like dropping a stone in a pond. The impact continues outward in ways we cannot always measure. I've witnessed people transform decades of ingrained negative thinking through this deliberate practice of verbal recalibration. The revelation that continues to amaze me is how this approach aligns with ancient wisdom while being validated by modern neuroscience. When Cayce emphasized rewriting our negative past with words of love and faith, he was tapping into a universal principle that transcends religious boundaries while being perfectly expressed through Christian teachings. Think about the moments when someone spoke words of life into your situation when everything seemed hopeless. Those words didn't just make you feel better temporarily, they literally altered the trajectory of your thinking and consequently your actions. This is the power we each hold in our daily conversations, in our self-talk, and in our declarations about the future. I want to go even deeper into this concept because understanding it thoroughly transforms how we navigate life's challenges. The practice of speaking love, faith, peace, and hope isn't just spiritual poetry. It's practical psychology at work. When we consistently voice these positive truths, we're essentially training our subconscious mind to scan our environment for evidence that supports these assertions. The mind always works to create coherence between our words and our perception of reality. This is why people who consistently speak words of lack tend to notice scarcity everywhere, while those who verbalize abundance begin seeing opportunities they previously missed. It's not that reality itself changes immediately, though I believe it eventually does, but our perception shifts dramatically based on our verbal declarations. If you've experienced this phenomenon in your own life, type "words create worlds" in the comments below. I'd love to know I'm not alone in witnessing this remarkable principle in action. He advocated for the daily verbal and conscious practice of these transformative words. His readings illustrated healing and transformation documented in people's lives. These weren't just casual observations. They represented profound shifts in people's internal landscapes that eventually manifested in their external realities. What makes Emil's approach so revolutionary was his understanding of the mind's receptivity. The subconscious operates like fertile soil. It doesn't judge the seeds you plant. It simply grows whatever you consistently introduce. This is the hidden truth behind why some people seem to experience perpetual challenges, while others navigate similar circumstances with remarkable resilience. Now, I want to go even deeper into this principle. The practice of conscious autosuggestion isn't merely about positive thinking. It's about creating a new mental environment where possibility flourishes. When you understand that your thoughts are architectural blueprints for your experience, you begin to guard the gateway to your mind with greater vigilance. Consider this journey of transformation when you wake up and immediately declare, "Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better." You're not just repeating empty words. You're initiating a subtle but powerful neurological restructuring. Your brain begins searching for evidence to support this statement, creating what psychologists now call a positive confirmation bias. Behind the scenes of this seemingly simple practice lies a sophisticated reprogramming protocol. Your nervous system, which responds to repetition and emotional intensity, gradually adopts these suggestions as operating instructions. This is why Emil insisted on both the verbal component, speaking the words aloud, and the conscious element, truly engaging with their meaning. What's particularly fascinating is how this practice builds momentum over time. Many of Cayce's patients reported that while the changes weren't dramatic initially, they experienced exponential improvement as days turned into weeks. This mirrors what modern neuroscience tells us about neural pathway formation. What starts as a faint trail becomes a superhighway with consistent use. The revelations from Cayce's work have influenced countless personal development methodologies that followed. Yet many have missed the elegant simplicity of his core insight, that we need not engage in complex psychological gymnastics to reshape our reality. We can begin with a single, well-crafted sentence, repeated with conviction. The impact of this approach extends beyond individual psychology into our relationships, career decisions, and even physical health. The mind-body connection Cayce observed has been validated repeatedly in contemporary research on psychoneuroimmunology, showing how our mental states directly influence our physiological functioning. If you're resonating with these principles as I explain them, type, "I'm claiming my better" in the comments. Now let's explore how Cayce's method evolved beyond his initial formula to address specific challenges in people's lives. Divine realization begins within, not through some external journey, but a profound inner transformation. According to Cayce, these enduring concepts, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, love, and patience, create an internal alchemy that fundamentally shifts how we participate in existence itself. What's particularly fascinating about Cayce's vision is how these 5 words create a framework for community resilience. In today's world, where connections often seem fragile and temporary, he foresaw networks of people bound together not by geography or circumstance, but by shared dedication to these principles. The revelations in his reading suggest these communities aren't just philosophical constructs, but practical blueprints for sustainable human connection. I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how these concepts manifest in everyday decision-making. Knowledge isn't static information, it's a living current that flows through our choices. When we approach a challenge from a place of gathered wisdom rather than reactive impulse, we're embodying Cayce's framework. The hidden truth here is that these 5 words aren't separate virtues, but interconnected aspects of a single unified approach to life. Consider how understanding and patience work together in conflict resolution. The person who can truly understand another's perspective, not just intellectually but empathically, naturally develops patience with their process. This combination creates space for genuine resolution rather than temporary compromise. This pattern plays out across countless human interactions, forming the invisible architecture of healthy relationships. Modern research in psychological resilience actually validates much of what Cayce intuited. Studies consistently show that individuals who approach adversity with patience and a commitment to understanding tend to navigate life's challenges more successfully. The impact of these principles extends far beyond spiritual growth. They create measurable differences in well-being and life satisfaction. What's perhaps most remarkable about Cayce's vision is its universality. While expressed through his own Christian framework, these principles transcend religious boundaries, appearing in wisdom traditions worldwide. They represent something fundamentally human, a path toward integration that resonates across cultural divides. For those willing to embrace this journey, these 5 words become more than abstract concepts. They transform into living practices that gradually reshape our relationship with ourselves and others. The framework offers a kind of practical spirituality, grounded not in dogma, but in principles that can be tested through lived experience. If you're finding these ideas connect with your own experience or intuition about what makes for a meaningful life, write in the comments, "These 5 words speak to me." I'm curious to know which of these principles resonates most strongly with where you find yourself right now. Now let me reveal something profound that transformed my understanding of Cayce's work. The most revolutionary aspect wasn't about predicting the future, it was about creating it. You see, Cayce wasn't interested in producing more followers or creating dependency on his abilities. His deeper message was that the prophetic gift lives within each of us. This revelation completely shifts our perspective. Instead of seeking external validation or guidance, Cayce was guiding us towards self-sovereignty. The journey towards spiritual awakening isn't about surrendering your power to another. It's about reclaiming the dormant abilities that already exist within you. When Cayce spoke about the power of words, he wasn't just talking about communication. He understood that words are vibrational blueprints that shape our reality. Think about it. Every word you speak carries an energetic signature that ripples outward, affecting not just others but the very fabric of your own existence. This is why affirmations and prayer were central to his healing work. They weren't mere suggestions, but technological tools for consciousness transformation. The hidden truth in Cayce's readings is that we're constantly prophesying our own futures through our habitual thoughts and speech patterns. Your internal dialogue isn't just commentary. It's creating the template for what manifests in your life. This understanding places incredible responsibility in our hands, but also tremendous freedom. I've witnessed this principle unfold countless times in my own journey. When I consciously began to reshape my internal narrative, external circumstances began to shift in ways that sometimes defied logical explanation. The synchronicities and openings that appeared weren't random. They were direct responses to the energetic signature I was embodying through my thoughts and words. What's fascinating is how this aligns perfectly with modern quantum physics. Scientists now acknowledge that observation affects reality at the subatomic level. The very act of conscious attention changes the behavior of particles. Cayce intuited this connection between consciousness and reality decades before science could verify it. This is why Cayce emphasized spiritual practice over passive belief. The awakening of your inner prophet doesn't happen through intellectual understanding alone. It requires consistent inner work. Meditation, dream interpretation, and creative visualization weren't just supplemental activities in Cayce's framework. They were essential pathways to activate your own intuitive abilities. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how Cayce's understanding of time differs radically from our conventional perspective, and why this matters for developing your own intuitive abilities. The linearity of time that we take for granted was something Cayce experienced quite differently during his readings. If any of this resonates with your own experiences of intuition or synchronicity, type "awakening within" in the comments below. He recognized that the most powerful tools for transformation were often the simplest ones. Cayce would instruct people to write these 5 simple words on note cards and place them throughout their homes, on bathroom mirrors, refrigerators, or bedside tables. This wasn't mere positive thinking. It was a deliberate reprogramming of consciousness. Be kind, be patient, be gentle, be earnest, be studious. When you repeatedly engage with these words throughout your day, they begin to infiltrate your decision-making process. That moment when you're about to snap at someone in traffic, the word patient suddenly surfaces in your awareness. When faced with a difficult colleague, kind whispers in your ear before you respond. The brilliance of Cayce's approach was in understanding the relationship between consistent mental focus and behavioral change. Our modern neuroscience confirms what he intuited, that neuroplasticity allows our brains to form new pathways through consistent practice. What begins as a conscious effort gradually becomes second nature. I've witnessed the hidden impact of this practice in my own journey. After implementing these 5 words as daily touchpoints for just 3 weeks, I found myself responding differently to challenges that would have previously triggered frustration or impatience. It wasn't dramatic or sudden, but rather a subtle shift in my default responses, the kind of deep change that happens beneath conscious awareness. Cayce also advocated for pairing these words with moments of stillness. He believed that in silence these concepts could root themselves more deeply in our being. This intersection of meditation and intentional focus creates what he called the ideal environment for soul growth. Many of his patients reported profound revelations during these quiet moments of contemplation. Now, I want to go even deeper into how these 5 virtues aren't isolated concepts, but form an interconnected system of spiritual development. Each word builds upon and strengthens the others. Being studious, for instance, naturally leads to greater patience as we learn to appreciate complexity. Earnestness fuels our commitment to kindness even when it's difficult. What's particularly fascinating is how Cayce's approach bridges Eastern and Western spiritual traditions. His emphasis on gentle persistence reflects Buddhist mindfulness practices, while his focus on earnest effort aligns with Christian concepts of devotion. This universal quality helps explain why his teachings continue to resonate with people from diverse backgrounds and belief systems. The practical applications extend far beyond personal development. Families who adopt these 5 words as household values report improved communication and fewer conflicts. Businesses that incorporate them into their organizational culture see increases in employee satisfaction and customer loyalty. The ripple effect of these simple virtues extends outward in ways Edgar Cayce himself might not have fully anticipated. If any of these insights about Cayce's 5 words has resonated with you, write "Wisdom in Simplicity" in the comments below. Now, let's examine how these 5 virtues specifically address the challenges of our modern, technology-driven world. His profound legacy doesn't merely exist in dusty volumes or theoretical frameworks, it lives through each of us who practice these timeless concepts. What fascinates me is how these teachings create a transformation that ripples outward, affecting not just our individual journeys, but our collective consciousness as well. Look at how the words we choose become the architecture of our reality. It's a hidden truth many overlook. Language isn't just communication. It's creation. When you declare something with conviction, you're not merely describing your world, you're actively building it, brick by verbal brick. This perspective shifts us from passive observers to conscious creators of our experience. I've witnessed remarkable revelations in my own life through this practice. There was a time when my self-talk was filled with limitation. I can't. It's too difficult. I'm not ready. The moment I recognized these as self-imposed barriers rather than facts, everything changed. By consciously redesigning my internal dialogue, external circumstances began to align with my newly claimed power. The beauty of this approach is its accessibility. You don't need special equipment, expensive courses, or rare circumstances to begin. Your words, the very tool you've been using your entire life, are the key that unlocks your destined potential. This isn't mystical thinking, it's practical application of universal principles that have shaped human experience throughout history. Now, I want to go even deeper into this mindset shift. When we truly grasp that words aren't just descriptive but generative, we begin to treat them with appropriate reverence. Think about how casually we often speak about our dreams, our challenges, our capabilities, yet each statement is planting seeds that will eventually bear fruit in our lives. This understanding demands a level of intentionality that most people never develop. The impact of this practice becomes particularly evident during challenging seasons of life. When obstacles appear, the natural tendency is to verbalize frustration, fear, or limitation. But those who understand the power of declaration choose different words, not as denial of difficulty, but as an assertion of their capacity to overcome. This isn't toxic positivity, it's strategic empowerment. Behind the scenes of every achievement, every breakthrough, and every healing lies a foundation of powerful declarations that preceded the visible outcome. The words came first, sometimes whispered in moments of doubt, sometimes proclaimed boldly despite contrary evidence. But they created the pathway for manifestation. If any of this resonates with your experience, or if you're beginning to connect these dots in your own life, write "Awakening My Words" in the comments. I'm curious about how this principle is showing up in your world. As we reach this point in our journey together, I hope you're feeling that spark of recognition, that moment when wisdom doesn't just make sense intellectually, but resonates deeply with your own experience. If these ideas about the creative power of your words have stirred something in you, I'd love to continue this conversation. Subscribe to join our community of conscious creators who are applying these principles daily. Your presence here matters. If you've made it to the end of this exploration with me, leave "Awakening My Words" in the comments. It's a small way to acknowledge that you're stepping into this practice of intentional language. A like on this video helps others discover these concepts too. It's a simple way to extend the ripple effect we talked about. I've prepared a video that takes this foundation even further, exploring how to structure powerful declarations that align with your deepest intentions. Click right here, and let's continue unpacking this life-changing practice together.